Hello, we're here today to talk about on-demand manufacturing and how it is leading the way to a 4.0 fashion industry. We have the pleasure to be with Alexandra Mullier, CEO
Hello.
and co-founder of Adresse, and Donatien Mourmand, co-founder of Tekin. Donatien, could you introduce us to your technology and how you came up with that idea for fashion?
So we started the company 4 years ago in 2017 with a team composed of people coming from the automotive industry and the logistic industry. So we are gathering the lean manufacturing philosophy into the textile industry production. And what we do is very simple. We break down volumes, not in once collection, but we break down the volume production every week. So we make sure that we produce only the right garment in the right size with the right colors. We kill overproduction, and on top of it, we increase the numbers of sales because there is no more missed sales. Doing all that without technology would be just impossible. So we have a team of 60 people working days and sometimes nights on developing the robotics and the technologies to have a web platform and all the mobile apps to digitize the production cycle.
Okay, thank you. Alexandra, can you share the commitments of Adresse?
Yes, so Adresse is an online and offline fashion brand specialized on very active urban lifestyles. Sometimes you live so intensely that your daily life pretty much looks like some sport activities. So you sweat, you have heat, you carry loads, maybe you do bike rides. So Adresse is committed into making clothes that are both comfy and multi-purpose, and sometimes with technical fabrics in them. We are only manufacturing in European Union. That's very important to us. We are also committed into being transparent, so we work with Clear Fashion. We use labelized fabrics, especially merino wool and some recycled polyesters. And one of our most recent commitments is that we started collaborating with Tekin to shift towards digitalized production and on-demand production.
Okay, and indeed, what was your view on digitization before starting?
So we belong to this new generation of entrepreneurs that enter the fashion market, a bit like Donatien. So we have this startup culture. We were used to work with collaborative tools such as Trello, Asana, Slack. And then when you enter the fashion market and when you look especially at the industrial process of making clothes, there is so much to be optimized. So what's funny is that actually we had started to build our internal software by twisting Asana, which is a project management tool. So we wanted to have a tool shared with our manufacturers that would allow anyone to know where the fabric is, if the trims are going to be delivered on time, what would the new milestones be if this program is delayed. But as I was saying, it was a big twist of Asana, so it was really a bad version of what is now offering Tekin, and we are really happy to migrate Pro.
Okay, and to be concrete, Donatien, can you share an example of workflow? How is it going from the moment you start working with a brand to the first batch of production?
Yes. So it first starts with the brand. We sit down together with the collections and the sourcing people, and we define the on-demand production products and the retro planning of how you organize an on-demand production. Once that is made, we make sure that we have all the hypotheses of how the brand would have bought the product without on-demand production. Because what we do is that we produce less, but we ensure that the brand makes more money because they produce the right garment and they don't overstock and they sell more product at the right price. So they decrease the discounts. So it's very important for us to be sure that in addition to the environmental and social impact, which is our motivation, there is an economical impact, which is massive. So for brands like major retailers like IKKS, that you can now call X, I think, Cyrillus, Redoute, the main bottom lines are that we increase the global margin of 10 to 20% when you take a normal production and you shift it to on-demand production. So that's the results we have, and the way it's working is that we both develop the tools, and at the same time we are in the production cycle because we have a tech center which is based in north of Paris, in Saint-Denis, where we gather all the rolls of materials, we gather all the white labels and all the accessories, and every week we prepare kits. And we do it in a very automated and digitized way. And we spread it over 40 workshops throughout Europe, those workshops, we're working with them on a booking capacity contracts. So the workshops, they know that they are going to produce, but compared to the normal industry, they just know on Monday what they're going to produce on Tuesday. But they don't care because what's important for them is to know that they are going to produce. They don't mind producing a blue or a red skirt as long as they produce it. So it's added value for the workshops because we give them digitized tools and we give them visibility for their production lines. And at the same time, for the brands, we also shift them to the new world of 4.0 technologies, and we enable them also to have environmental impact.
Okay, so you mentioned added value. It's obvious that there's a technological benefit. What are the other assets that you two are experimenting with Tekin?
I'll start, Alexandra. So every time a brand is coming to us, we have this general term of on-demand manufacturing, which encompasses a lot of issues, a lot of production. The DNVBs will always have issues of running out of stocks. And how do you allocate your capital at the perfect way? And with the MOQ, which is probably the worst word in that industry, with the MOQ issue, it's not impossible, but it's very, very hard for small brands to allocate perfectly their finance. And at the same time, we have main retailers which are fully transforming their sourcing issues. Everybody's reshoring right now, and they don't want to do it the old way. They want to shift it to the new world and to a digitized world.
Do you want to add something, Alexandra, from your point?
Well, I think my answer will also be on the economic plan, even though, of course, there are also some environmental benefits to this technology. But from the point of view of the brand, even if we are in DNVB and we don't have stock issues, I see an economic benefit in it, even though there is an extra cost, because Tekin is not free. But whether you judge this extra cost acceptable depends on how you read your numbers. And I think the fashion industry is where it is now because of the way it is reading in its numbers. And the way you read your number, your profitability tells whether you're an old model or a new model brand. And old model brands really focus on how their income turns into profit, and they disregard their return on capital employed, energy employed, time employed, risk employed involved. And so it's a lot of inefficiency. And we new model brands, maybe we aim for less juicy P&L, but more efficiency. We don't want to waste time thinking our designs way ahead. We don't want to waste energy and people monitoring promotion, prices, stock level. We don't want to have huge efforts of marketing to rebuild the product value. So with all those inefficiency, in the end, I judged that despite the extra cost attached to this on-demand service, I can find it profitable.
Okay, and it's indeed a new way to deal with business. Have you been able to combine working with long-time manufacturers and adding tech-in service?
Well, we are only starting with one of our stream of production, and when we announced our long-term partner, industrial partner, that we were going to shift towards a digitalized and on-demand process, at first, of course, he was cautious, but then very quickly they saw their interest in it. And I think there are three reasons. First, it's a market trend towards smaller series. So a lot of his other customers are asking him to shift toward this model. Second, when they see the tool, the solution, the software Taking is offering, they see how processed and how shared and how good the information is going to be for everyone. So they know I mean, they don't know for sure, but they have high hopes that it's going to work. And third, the kitting and cutting part of their industrial flow is often where they have a knot, where they have obstruction. So leaving this part and focusing their people and their time on sewing and assembling is actually where there are more values for them. So I think they get it, and in exchange they get, as for your workshops, a long-term view of their booking capacity, and that's what they value.
Okay, and Donatien, you're working with a lot of different brand profiles, from the NVB to large retailers. How do you deal with such different brand profiles?
I would say that every brand comes with its complexity, but also its added value. And for example, when you work with 1083, so 1083 in English, a French brand which is making only jeans in France, they pave the way for relocalization. They pave the way for, okay, it's possible to make jeans in France if you sell it around 80 to 120 euros. But if you don't take a coefficient margin of 5, but if you reduce it to 2 or 2.5, because you're so close and you explain your story, that it's profitable. And so when the main retailers see how good we are working with 1083 and how they are increasing, they're just like, oh, yeah, it could be interesting to, finally it's possible to reshoring. And at the same time, when some other DNVBs are going into the way of structuring their IT, their digital strategy, and etc. And within Taking, we have around 10 people whose work is only to collaborate with the brands and bringing the exchange management. So those 10 people are really aware of what's going on in the industry, because they're working with huge retailers, very small DNVBs, with different types of products and different types of levels. And so they really bring all those people together. And the value of the collaboration, the value of, oh yes, you can get that right sourcing strategy, or you can get that digital tool, and all that value of exchange is really important. And when we arrive in the textile industry, because with Pierre we are definitely not coming from the textile industry, coming from the automotive and the solar photovoltaics industry, so it's clearly not our our ID first. When we came, we were like, okay, we knew, so we don't know what's possible, we don't know what's impossible, so let's try it and we'll see. And it's probably, so it's not easy all the time. You make mistakes, but at the same time, you open some thoughts that some people in the industry could not do. And that's exactly your point, Alexandra, with how you analyze your financials and how you consider, okay, it's great to pay very low for a garment, but if you don't sell it in the end, you really don't care, and it's a waste.
It's true that you were not part of the fashion industry, and you brought quite a revolution for us. It's been quite a tremendous year for Taking, with prizes, fundraisings. Now, what are the next key steps for your company?
So next key steps is an acceleration of the collaborative platform. So many people saw us as people in the production. But what we really want people to understand is that we are in the production to develop the technologies and to bring those technologies to the workshops, to the brands, and to all those people. So we are a tech company, and we develop all those collaborative tools for the brands, for the workshops, for the suppliers, material suppliers to work efficiently together. And this is really our vision, is that that industry is growing in Europe. It's going to be collaborative, for sure. And that's the reason why we're going to launch in the coming months a collaborative platform in a more official way with this mobile app, which are going to be plugged into the workshop and the material suppliers to fully digitize the production, to also gather all the data to make real traceability and to enable all that ecosystem to work together.
Okay. We've got a few minutes left, so we will go on to questions. How can you help startups go from the first year to the scale-up?
For startups, that's a good question. It's, in a way, it's a go or no go. If they go, we are going together and we are doing it for real. And the success of Tekin will also be the success of the brands that we are working with. And that's really important. For retailers, it's different because the volume are so important that they're going to say, okay, you're going to take 2% of the production to start, and it's already big volumes. But for a startup, it's going to be more, okay, if we go together, and we also know, because for the startup, it's a big investment as well to go into those kind of production cycles. So if they don't believe that that solution is going to be scalable for them, there's no way to go together. So it's a how could I say that? It's an auto-realization choice. Okay. So when you choose it, we make it possible and we make it work. And if a startup goes and say, okay, I'm going to go just a little bit, but I'm not sure, and etc., then for sure we won't go, because we did it in the past with a small startup that were not fully convinced. And definitely it's really a go, no go, but there is no in between.
Okay.
Maybe on that point, I think also for a startup, when let's say you have succeeded your year one, you have to do your sales forecast for your year two. And are you going to double, triple, make 4 times your sales? So it's very hard to predict the volumes that you are going to have. And that's also where on-demand for startups really is an answer between this first year and the second year, because you don't have all the past history of sales. So you don't know really what to expect about your sales, especially if you're online.
Yeah, it can help you have a guide for the next season.
Yeah, and react in a more easily and quicker way to your actual sales.
Okay. Thank you to both of you. It was really interesting. And hope to see you during Undisclosed.
For sure.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.